I'm Connor Old, and this is Old's Oscar Countdown, and here we are. We're at the final episode of the Old Oscar Countdown for 2018. I will be back next year, but it's bittersweet because it's not over. I will be continuing the show and continuing uploading on this channel. Stay tuned for that, for the big announcement at the end of the show. But you're here for Oscar reactions, and I'm here to give it to you. So overall reactions of the show as sort of an entertainment piece, I thought it was pretty good. I wasn't thrilled by it. I thought last year was very well done. I thought Jimmy Kimmel did a good job as a host. He was very relaxed, and he didn't have any sort of nervousness or anything like that. He felt like he's done this before, so he felt comfortable. I felt in that seat. Although there wasn't any sort of big speeches or big plots or jokes that really landed, or presenters that really landed with me. I know some people thought Tiffany Haddish was funny. I wasn't a big fan. A couple of the speeches were okay, but nothing really blew me away, which is kind of unfortunate. And that sort of ended up being how the predictions work too. If you just predict the favorites, I think you got something like 18 out of 24 type of thing. I got 19 out of 24, so I did better than I have, I think, overall. But that's because they're a predictable Oscars, and I went out on a couple of limbs, and I got a few of them wrong, sort of embarrassingly, admittedly. But I also got some of them right. I got Blade Runner 2049 for visual effects. I got Heaven's a Traffic Jam on the 405 for a documentary short. So a couple of these I'm proud of, but that being said, sort of a boring Oscars. But the best part about the Oscars is that not just to predict, and what if, but now seeing the results. What do we take from this for next year? What do we learn from this Oscars? I think the first thing to take away is that The Shape of Water breaks a lot of rules. First off being the big stat that everyone sort of looks at, which is the SAG Ensemble rule. If you don't know, this is that every Best Picture winner since Braveheart, which was 1996, I believe, has gotten a SAG Ensemble nomination, except, boom, The Shape of Water. So that breaks that rule, and I think for a lot of people that was a correlation, but now due to the preferential system for the Best Picture, if you don't know, is where in the Best Picture you don't choose your favorite choice, you rank your choices. I think that really is evident and telling of what is going to win, because people say, oh, maybe it didn't, Shape of Water doesn't have the strength from the acting branch. Well, it had 3 of the 4 acting nominations, right? And it won the Producers Guild, which was a preferential ballot, which is really the only thing it had going for it, right? So it's like, do I regret not picking The Shape of Water Best Picture? No, because I probably would have, if 3 Billboards won, I would have been disappointed. That being said, I think it just strengthens the idea of this preferential ballot. It is so, so important. Almost other industry awards, other things don't matter. If a movie you hear is liked and not divisive and maybe has won one other industry award, go for it. I think Get Out was a little divisive. I don't think everyone got the hype, especially as a genre movie type of stuff like that. But then 3 Billboards, I mean, that was a huge point, is that division and divisiveness does not help. 3 Billboards was divisive, we knew that. And it's hurt. Now, I see actually a lot of parallels between Shape of Water and La La Land. La La Land won a bunch of these awards, but at the end it was divisive, right? Because it was sort of underwhelming. Shape of Water was the front runner, but it didn't have any of those divisiveness sort of traits to it. It was sort of this movie that people liked and didn't have the SAG Ensemble, but did have a lot of the acting branch support. And this actually, Shape of Water is also an unusual movie. That's another huge point. An unusual movie won. Sort of a sci-fi movie. I call it fantasy because sci-fi is not really a genre in my opinion. So a fantasy movie wins. That shows the new Academy is very open to a lot of these sort of art house movies, yes, but sort of these, a lot of movies. And if a movie's good, no matter if it's odd, it will win. You know, before we should see The Post and Darkest Hour, these type of movies do really well. And Darkest Hour did well, but The Post didn't, only have 2 nominations, things like that. So we're seeing sort of these movies still get recognized, but not maybe in contention for Best Picture. Another thing that it broke was the screenplay rule. So prior to the Oscars, 10 out of the last 11 Best Picture winners also got a screenplay award. The Shape of Water did not. So The Shape of Water is sort of going back to old, but also completely different, you know. It got Director and Picture, which has been matching up as of recent. It got the most nominations, which I think 4 of the 13 last years. Best Picture winners, the most nominated movie won. So La La Land last year got the most nominations, record tying, didn't win. Because I think it comes down to the technical support. It can be there, that's important. If you get an editing nomination, that's important as well. We saw something like Get Out, did not get an editing nomination, did not win. So really from the Best Picture thing, Shape of Water breaks a lot of rules. I think at the end of the day, if you get a couple of those key nominations, directing, of course, I mean, Martin McDonagh didn't get in. I think that was maybe a telltale sign. So if you maybe win one industry award, I think, get the necessary nominations, editing and directing, and you work well with that preferential ballot, you should go for it. And divisiveness, no matter what, does not work. That is key. Another thing was, going to the overall show, they still like to spread the wealth. We saw something like Jordan Peele with Get Out get a win. I think 7 out of the 9 Best Picture winners, Best Picture nominees, got a win. So that was interesting. Lady Bird and The Post did not, but The Post only got nominated for 2 Oscars. So I still think they like to spread the wealth. I mean, they could have gone to The Shape of Water and sort of swept that, but they didn't. They wanted to go to original screenplay. I think that's another thing about original screenplay, is that a lot of the times now, it's the most original. The Lobster got nominated last year for original screenplay. Manchester by the Sea won, and that's sort of the literary type of sort of playwright type of thing. But I think that we see with Get Out now, something like Her, that it's this original idea, I think, that really stresses the idea of original screenplay. All right, so now let's move into the next 2 points, the final 2 points. The first takeaway is that narratives occur in technical categories. What do I mean by this? Take a look at something like sound mixing. Last year we saw Hacksaw Ridge win sound mixing, but La La Land I thought it had in the bag. Musicals always do well in sound mixing. A lot of people thought maybe Hacksaw Ridge gets sound editing and La La Land gets sound mixing. Actually went to Hacksaw Ridge for sound mixing. Why? I think because there was a narrative behind it. The sound mixer was Kevin O'Connell, who was nominated 24 times. He was Oscar's biggest loser. The tech guys knew that. They rallied behind him and got him that win. The same thing happened this year with Roger Deakins for cinematography. A lot of people knew that he had 13 nominations. He's one of the greatest cinematographers of all time, and he's never won. He's my personal favorite cinematographer, and a lot of people wanted him to win. I think that's why he got in for there. And then my final point is about editing. I think editing, if you want to win editing, you have to be a well-liked movie. Not necessarily a Best Picture winner, but a well-liked movie. Look at something like, I thought maybe Baby Driver, because of most edited. Hacksaw Ridge was most edited. Mad Max Fury Road was most edited. Whiplash was most edited. That being said, look at something like Whiplash, it won for J.K. Simmons. It got an original screenplay nod. It won sound mixing, right? And it won editing. You look at something like Mad Max Fury Road, that's a Best Picture contender, that's a director contender. They like that movie. Same thing with Hacksaw Ridge. It got in for director, it got in for picture. They like that movie. They wanted to award it something. Baby Driver's a different scenario. It was only nominated 3 times. It had the Kevin Spacey factor. So if you want to award a movie, you have to make sure that it is well liked if you're going out on a limb on that film editing stat. Okay, now let me stay tuned for my big announcement. Oh, the new series is going to be, the new announcement is, I'm going to be continuing this. I'm going to be doing 2 series at once, 1 new series and 1 old series. I'm bringing back Masters of Uncontrolled Chaos, but I'm going to be changing it up a bit. So last summer, from the odd Oscar months that I wasn't covering the Oscars, I know some of you guys like the series, and I'm going to continue the series, but I'm going to change it up a bit, because last time I was able to cover guys I knew like Christopher Nolan and Tim Burton, and guys I've seen all their filmographies, right? But now I'm moving into directors where I've never seen maybe any of their movies, or just one of their movies, and they have this huge back catalog. So it takes me time. Plus, I want to give you guys the best, most in-depth video of what exactly makes them great. So what I'm going to be doing is uploading it once a month. So once a month I'm going to be looking at a director. And my new series is going to be what I called Old on Old. What I do is I break down and I review a classic movie. So because I'm in this interesting scenario where I've seen Casablanca before, I've seen Citizen Kane before, obviously, many times. I love those movies. I'm not going to see those movies, but I haven't seen a lot of classic movies, like 400 Blows, like some of these Akira Kurosawa movies, like Gone with the Wind. So I'm going to be reviewing a lot of those movies once a week. That'll be my weekly sort of upload. I'm expecting 12 to 15 minutes, maybe more, about A, does it hold up for a modern audience? Because I'm seeing this for the first time. I'm in a really unique position. I want to capitalize on that. So does it hold up? What's the historical significance by it? Why has it stood up as a classic? And what new things am I able to take away with a 21st century viewpoint? So that should be a lot of fun. Stay tuned for that. Next week, so today is the Tuesday, so next week I'm going to be uploading the first episode. It's going to be Carrie of Old on old. And for this month, I'm going to be doing Brian De Palma. That's why I wanted to start. A great director, and I can't wait to talk about him. So I'm Connor Old. Make sure you like the video, comment below. Let me know what your opinions are of the Oscars, and are you excited for the new series? Anyways, I'm Connor Old, and until next time, stay tuned.